Hello and welcome back to the Shmuseum, where, as I'm sure you would have seen on the Shmee 150 channel, Tim is no longer here and he's currently over in the USA getting ready for the start of Gumball. And here, well, things are still looking quite bare. We've got no SLS, no GT Black Series, no Senna, no F1 car, and also we've lost the little Firefly because Brad's going to insert a clip somewhere here. That went off for service back at the factory yesterday, so have a look at that one. So you joined me a couple of days prior where we have the little Firefly out, which is being collected by the owner to head off to Heffel to have it serviced back at the factory. And I'm sure you guys have already spotted, we have another couple here. So that's 3 of the Elise Cup 250 final editions here inside the Shmuseum, which is absolutely nuts. These two are finished in a glorious pair of shades of green, and they are looking absolutely stunning together. And it's crazy to think that this is now 3 of the final edition cars. There's only 35 in the UK, and there's 3 of them here in this room. Now, the 2 green ones actually belong to a pair of guys who run a channel called 111 Cars, so link will be down in the description. Do go and check them out and give them a follow and check out the adventures with their pair. Hopefully that explains where the little Firefly has now gone, and hopefully soon it will be returning so we can do some more miles in it now that it's had, or once it's had, its running in service, and then we can really find out what that little thing is all about. And I think the mission, whilst Tim is away on Gumball, is to try and return all of the missing cars, obviously apart from the GT500, which is currently US based. So I think that's going to be quite the challenge to get this place looking full again and have all of the UK cars here inside the Shmuseum. But today we're focusing on one of my favorites, and that means you could probably guess it's one of 2. It's that one. No, this one, the C63 AMG Black Series. Now, me and Tim have often had a little bit of a debate as to whether we should remap the car, because obviously at some point in the future we are talking about respraying it. And a lot of you guys are still asking about that, but we still haven't decided on a colour, have we, Brad? Like,
not fully.
We genuinely haven't. We're still so torn that we're just like, we'll get to it when we get to it, because we just can't decide. And I think it's a bit of a debate between all of us. But the one thing we have been going back and forth on is remapping the car. And, well, as we said, Tim isn't here, so I say we just go and do it. So I think me and Brad are going to hop in, head over to the guys at GAD Tuning, and well, let's see how much more horsepower we can get out of this thing.
We also have these carbon trims for the interior. Tom, have you got the key so we can
I do.
Go and have a look at roughly where
one
these
now.
go? I don't know if I'm going to be able to open the door with these.
You're not. I need to come this side, don't I?
You take these. Yeah, you take these.
Okay. Welcome to the Shmuseum. It's an early morning.
I'm going to come in here. That's not going to go all the way.
Don't worry, I'll stand in the way. You'll be fine.
So these trims replace this piece here around the gear shifter, and also like cubby hole 12-volt socket cover. So if I take one of them, this will do for now. This will sit in there and look all pretty. So we're going to see if we can get these fitted. Obviously we bought them a while back.
We did, and crucially, it's not just a case of looking pretty, but although they will, but they'll also then match the dashboard trim and the door cards, which also have the carbon fibre trim on them, which is the reason we purchased them, because it just seemed a bit odd having one bit of gloss black trim and everything else carbon. It didn't seem very fitting. So I think what we may do is, on the way back from GAD, possibly stop off and surprise the guys at Dub and see if they want to switch these over for us. So I think without further ado, it's time for a cold start.
We've removed the C6 smart charger, so hit it, Tom. Oh, there we go. Roars into life. Let's get it off the lift, get these packed up in their bubble wrap, and then we can get out onto the road. You join us on the road in the C63 AMG Black Series, and we have a tunnel. So it'd be rude not to, right? Windows down a little bit.
Oh, she sounds so good. I know I say it each and every time, right? But we all know this engine. I don't need to say anything, it says it itself. It's absolutely brilliant. But yes, we're on the road, on the way to GAD. We're actually having a fairly smooth journey, although we have now encountered some rain, unfortunately, which isn't ideal. although we are in a rear-wheel drive C63 that we're going to add more power to, so journey back might be interesting. Anyway, onwards. I think of all of the days we've picked to go and remap the C63 and give it more power, today probably isn't the day.
Probably not,
But equally, it's just a case of being sensible. Just because you have more power doesn't mean you need to use them, and that's crucial. I think there was a video Tim did a little while ago when he was out spotting on Sloane Street, which just proved you don't always need to use the power you have available to you. Anyway, we're going to keep making progress, and we will be at GAD, hopefully, just over half an hour or so.
we are now arriving at GAD Tuning, just through here. I can see the sign for the building. Tucked away. Oh, something Japanese over there.
Yes, yes.
Kind of cool. But just through here, oh, there's a GTR. We've just been pointed in this direction.
Pointed in the right direction, so
there is a GTR and GAD Tuning.
here we are. So I think we should pop in, say hello, and figure out exactly what the plan is.
Here we go. So C63 coming in. Obviously, we're going to get this up onto the dyno pretty much straight away, but it's raining, it's miserable, the car is soaked, so for now it's nice just to have it inside and out of the way. Anthony, welcome to the channel.
Hello.
Thank you for having us down with the C63.
You're welcome.
So you said we need to put the car into dyno mode.
Yeah, so all Mercedes across the board, even when you press the traction button, there is still a level of intervention. So what they do is all Mercedes models actually have a like a dyno mode, so literally a test bed mode, so you can run these things however you want, as fast as you want, go whatever speed you want, and there'll be no intervention from ESP or anything along those lines. So what you do, key in, ignition click 1, cool, okay, there you go,
There we go.
secret menu, roller test on, and now you can see traction, ABS, everything.
So everything's ready to be put onto a dyno basically.
Exactly, it literally says on a diagnostic, it says literally rig test.
So don't
now,
use this for on the road. This
100%
is strictly...
do not use this on the road. Actually, I had a client years ago who had a baby blue C63,
Yeah.
and we did full manifolds, we did the whole lot. I stupidly showed him how to put it into dyno mode, and outside of another company's old workshop, he did like a left foot brake burnout, the front's locked, and the rears pushed the car down the road with the front's locked. So he left 11s from his front tyres and his rears.
Nice.
Yeah. So literally there'll be no intervention whatsoever.
Do not put your car into this mode unless it's going on a dyno to
Yes.
have a dyno run.
Yes.
Right, should we go get it on?
Yeah, let's get it on.
Now that we've had the demonstration of dyno mode, obviously it's now rolling back onto the rollers. Now, as you guys may have previously seen on the Shmee 150 channel, when Tim popped over to Germany one time, he did put this on the dyno at Opus with Lucas. So we're not going to be focusing too much necessarily on the number here because the conditions are different, the weather's different, the temperature's different, and it's a different dyno. They all read slightly differently between manufacturers. You're never going to get exactly the same figures from them. So we're not focusing on the start number and the end number here really. What we're going to be focusing on is the gain between the two once the remap has been applied.
Yeah, it's not a competition. We're not comparing what Opus have got
No,
with this.
all
This is
dynos are
purely we're
slightly
focusing on the power we get from this now to the power we get after tuning it.
Exactly that. It's the difference between the two. So I think without further ado, it's probably time to get this rolling.
Strap it down.
Let's strap it down and get it going. So Anthony was just explaining some things about the dyno here and the way the airflow works. And I thought that was really intriguing. So I thought I'd like you to explain to these guys as well, because you'll do it far better than I will.
Yeah, that's fine. So basically the way we design ourselves is we back the cars in. What we actually do is we suck all the air out of the room.
Yeah.
So what it then does is pulls fresh air in directly from the door and from up in the ceiling. So you've just got a constant fresh air supply. What these are for, although they look like small fans, they're actually really high power output. So their only job is to basically penetrate the rad, get the heat off the car,
just get that
and then
fresh
let
air
the cell get
Do
rid
the
of all the
work.
heat.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yep.
You get a nice bit of, having a cell design like this as well, you get a nice bit of airflow underneath the car.
Okay.
A lot of people forget about that. A lot of exhaust cooling is done from airflow under the car.
For sure.
we've
not
had,
just the engine that gets
exactly,
hot. Yeah.
exactly. We've tuned 900 horsepower McLarens in here in the summer and never had an issue with temperature or anything. The actual calculations from the amount of output, it works out 6.7 seconds. Every 6.7 seconds, the entire air in this cell is exchanged.
That's quite a lot of air.
Yeah, it's a ton of air.
Yeah.
It's loads of air.
Yeah.
A good dyno cell should do an air exchange 3 to 4 times a minute.
Okay.
And this does like 12 times a minute.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you never have to worry about temperatures or anything along those lines.
So clearly very well designed. And yeah, so this is all set up. As you said, it's just time to get some straps on the back.
Just straps and then start getting the car synced up with the dyno.
Yeah.
And then we can start making some hits.
Start doing some power runs. So yeah, let's crack on.
Sweet.
The numbers are in, so I think we're going to have a quick run through these with Anthony now, and they're looking quite good.
Yeah, so basically with the 156 engines, 159s, all of the 6.2 V8s, on this style of dyno,
Yep.
they never make claimed power. We've
Okay.
had 2 standard C63s ourselves,
Yep.
booked at 457, none of them made over 440.
Okay.
So in my head, before you guys got here, in my head, I thought if it makes over 480,
Yep.
perfectly healthy.
Okay.
And then out of the box,
And we've got
485.
485.
Torque really strong. What they booked at 630 newton meters.
630
So she's a tad over. Actually uncorrected without any weather station intervention. She's nearly 500 horsepower.
So
So
it's,
right close to what Opus dyno was
yeah.
doing.
So it, again,
yeah.
it shows actually, despite what I said about the different conditions, different weather, the
Yeah.
numbers are likely to be different. Actually, they're
Not
pretty
that far.
much bang on.
Exactly.
So-
Exactly. So I'm really happy with that. So I think what we'll probably do first is BMC air filters.
I think we get some BMC air filters in. That sounds good.
Measure the gains.
Yep. What
And
would we
after that-
expect to see from those? About 4 or 5 horsepower or something?
I'd be happy with 4 or 5
Yeah?
horsepower. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I had a CLK 63.
Yep.
And it found 12 horsepower once from
Wow.
dropping in BMCs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the most I've ever had an air filter
Yeah.
improve on a stock car. Yeah.
Okay, well I guess let's get them in this one and see what they do for this.
Sweet.
Now here we have the 2 filters. These are the ones that came out, which as you can see are pretty much brand new, but they're made of paper and obviously the airflow through them is somewhat restricted. So what we're going to be popping in is the BMC lifetime filters, which let that bit more air through, and these are cleanable as well, so you don't replace these every time you service the car, you just clean them out and they go straight back in. So we'll be popping those ones just in shortly. We'll be letting Anthony do that one just to make sure it's done right. Sure we could, but we'll let the experts do it, and then we'll get it running again and see how much more power they add. Now, this is quite a surprise. Anthony is covering
I'm
up the
surprised.
figures.
I'm surprised as well.
Neither of, I mean, we just said we'd be, or you said you'd be very happy at 4 to 5 horsepower,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing probably similar torque figures. You know, a few Newton meters you
Yeah.
would expect to see.
Yeah.
However, if you do the reveal,
So
we have
she
gone
found
up
nearly 10 horsepower.
nearly 10 horsepower, so double what we were anticipating.
But look at the torque.
Another nearly 40 Newton meters. What's 30 Newton meters of torque more?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So 35 newton meters.
And the key thing,
And
as
look
you were
where it is.
saying, it's everywhere throughout the range.
Yeah. So actually, if you look at power delta, she's picked up, let's say 3,000 RPM. She was at about 300 horsepower. She's now like 335 horsepower. But that torque, that mid-range torque, look at that. That is no calibration change.
No, that's
That is purely air
The
filter.
ECU configuration hasn't changed. The remap
Yeah.
hasn't yet been applied. We've
The
simply
car's
popped
hot.
the filters in. Yeah, so it's probably not the ideal conditions for it to be,
No, I
trying
mean,
to gain.
like the temperatures are fine,
Yeah,
but they're
it's
nowhere
not gonna
near as
give the-
clean as earlier.
that's insane.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Look at that.
clearly, guys, if you
Tiny
have a
bit of top end,
yes,
but up to sort of 5,500 RPM. Massive delta jump.
it's huge. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you've got a C63 or actually anything with a 156 engine, and you don't have
Filters.
BMC air filters,
Filters.
make sure you get yourself a pair. So I think now it's time to do the tune and see.
So now I'm going to I'll pull the calibration off the car.
Yep.
And then I'll start developing a tune.
Okay, so that's
for
some
it.
data logging, seeing what's there.
Rinse and repeat. So
Okay.
a lot of people will say, oh, do you live map a car?
Yep.
You've not been able to live map cars for years. What you have to do
Yep.
is you have to make your changes,
Yep.
load it, test it, log it, make your change. It's just rinse and repeat until you're happy with
So
where
it's
the
just
car is.
constantly tweaking the file
Yeah.
and re-uploading until it's right.
Until you're happy with it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's time to let Anthony start cracking on with that one, and we'll see just how much more these numbers are going to jump, because already it's been quite a surprise. So I was probably expecting that kind of torque jump off of the remap alone.
I was.
So
Yeah.
the fact that we've got that off of just filters, I think this is
So
boding
what
really well.
With these lines here, what I'm going to aim to do is this purple power line, try and have that keep going.
Yeah,
And this torque line, that's enough torque,
yeah.
but just try and get that torque to carry on.
Okay, just try and smooth the curve out a little bit at the top
Basically,
end.
just open up that torque band, bring up the power band.
I can't wait. Let's see what happens, and then get it back on the rollers.
So guys, the last calibration is now in. We've done multiple tests through the tweaking of the calibration to then get to the final power results. Primary things you tune with these, especially now we've got air filters in, a little bit of ignition, torque limitation, because in the UK we've got quite decent weather really. We don't have massive extremes of cold or heat, and also our fuel quality is really good. A little bit of lambda correction, and that's how you basically get some extra power out of these. So what we'll do, get it all stripped down, get it all strapped down again, and we'll do the final run.
The numbers are in, and boy, are they good. The gains that we saw off the filters, I think it's safe to say we saw equal gains off of the map.
Yeah, I mean, obviously more so power. The torque again has really surprised us. So
Yes.
we've found about 30 horsepower extra just from calibration. So we've gone 485, 9 horsepower, 30 horsepower. But torque again, we've jumped up.
Which is a silly number.
Now, these numbers are peak numbers.
Yeah,
so it's
so they
taking the
don't-
highest number that the plot is showing.
Yeah, that doesn't tell the whole story.
No, so the deltas, as a tuner, the deltas are what we get excited about.
That's what you focus on more than just peak power.
So let's say we're starting the run here at about 500 newton meters of torque. Now we're starting the run at over 600 newton meters of torque. So at 2,500 RPM, there's a 100 newton meter torque increase. Yeah.
Which is just absolutely insane, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. So you focus on, you go, okay, we've gained,
Yeah.
a few newton meters of torque, which again is still a huge amount, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's parts of the torque band that are now just so much higher than they were.
and that's what you're going to feel on the road. That's the peak power as great as the numbers are.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel
end.
that on the road.
No, that's
It's
all. You have to be driving silly speeds.
Yeah.
That's when you start feeling the power.
This is that mid-range power where you are on a country lane.
Let's say
that's when it's going to have that
20
hit.
mile an hour to 70, 80 mile an hour, you're probably just sitting in this torque band and you're using the torque to pull you through.
Well,
If you're going for a top speed run,
yeah.
everything's up here.
Yeah,
That's what
which
you want.
again is
'Cause you
still
shift gear back.
You can
shift
still
gear
see that
back.
we've had quite a gain at the top end as well. So it's not all mid-range. There
No.
has been quite the increase here too.
So a couple of things that I'm really happy with is, so the dark green line is our new power, and just look how smooth that is, and look how just the linearity of it, just going straight to red line. Not getting any undulation, and torque as well, just massive smoothing out of the torque.
I mean, again, immediately, if we go back to the stock run, you've got this huge dip here, which again, the filters did take some of that out, but
That's
there's still
right.
a little dip there, and now it's just...
Now, some of that can actually be the dyno.
Okay.
Oh, I say the dyno. Some of that can actually be the transmission.
Right, okay.
So these boxes are more like an auto than they are a clutched system.
Yeah, it's basically a 7-speed auto, isn't it?
Exactly,
More
right.
than
So here could be a little bit of the torque converter just riding.
Okay.
So basically, being a load-based dyno,
Yeah.
it doesn't rely on inertia. So it's not hit a button and just rev it out.
Yes.
You'll hear in the videos, when I'm starting the run, you'll hear me throttling in, and the tone gets deeper, but the dyno actually stops the car from accelerating.
Right, okay.
The dyno, the eddy brake in that housing there, and there's one for the front wheels down here.
Yeah.
If it's an all-wheel drive or a front-wheel drive car.
Of course.
There's a load cell in there. And what happens is, the dyno sucks a ton of power from the building and uses that eddy brake to brake the car. Like, you know, to not to brake it, but you know what I mean? To stop it from accelerating. And it means that you can start hitting all the correct ignition strategies.
Okay.
Rather than just like, if there's not enough inertia, the car's easily going to spin it.
Yeah. So
whereas this will just soak the power and the torque up.
So it's more representative of what you would actually have out on the road if you was actually driving the car, rather than just...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the way you strap the car down stops things like wheel spin. You don't want any wheel spin.
No.
You don't want any roller lift. If you see cars coming right up out of the rollers, they're either not strapping it down correctly or they're playing some games with the dyno numbers.
Yeah.
This dyno actually on the rear sets of rollers has wheel speed sensors. So if they come out the rollers and you try and cheat it,
the sensors are going to notice
that. The sensors kick it and it just cancels the test.
Okay.
It stops you from playing games basically.
So you know the numbers that are coming out of this are not fudged in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with that.
I'm really happy with that as well. I think Brad's very happy.
Yeah.
And I think Tim is going to be over the moon 100%. As well, obviously, who's currently
BMC are going to be really happy.
I think they are. It just proves that they've made an absolutely fantastic product there. So I think the next step...
Fitment was perfect.
Yep.
Just complete... I mean, how long did it take us? 30 seconds each?
If
each
that.
box?
If that, yeah.
Straight in. What's that? 35 Newton meters torque.
Yeah, so again, and the BMC filters are not a huge amount of money. So as we said before, if you've got one of these 156 engines and you're after a slight gain, that's where to go and get it without spending really anything.
No, I think they're, 130 quid maybe?
Something like that.
Something like that. Really cheap. Reusable.
Yeah, and that's, as we said, they're lifetime filters. You just clean them out every service. So if you don't have them, give Anthony a call and he'll be able to sort you out a pair. So I think next step for us is to see if we can get Tim on a video call and inform him exactly what we've been up to and give him the good news.
Well, this is going to be fun. The guys are calling, so let's jump on the video call and get an update on what's going on. Hello?
Hello, how are you?
All good, apart from the fact it's pretty gloomy weather out here, but I gather we've got some news.
We do, we have gloomy weather here too, so it's not very good. But as we may have mentioned to you whilst you're away, we've brought one of your cars down to the guys at GAD Tuning, as you can see, being the C63 Black Series, and we have some numbers. We have some very impressive numbers. So, obviously all dynos run slightly differently, so I know it ran previously, but it ran very similar figures to last time, and came out at 485 standard, and Anthony here said anything over and above 480 is what he would expect to see for this engine, and what he would call healthy. So we're 5 horsepower more there and 638 Newton meters of torque, which is 8 over and above standard. So
all good.
Very good numbers. He's then provided us with some BMC drop-in filters, which have caused a gain of 10 horsepower and 30 Newton meters of torque, just on air filters.
That's insane.
It's
just changing filters.
Just changing the filters. So clearly a great upgrade for these engines. And he said it's actually the biggest gain he's ever seen from just the filters. So we've clearly got quite a strong car here.
Yeah, because normally when you change filters, you gain a couple of horsepower and Newton meters.
He was expecting 4 to 5 horsepower. So we've really gone over and above that. And that's obviously before he's touched the software on the car, which he's then had a play with. Didn't take him many revisions. And we've ended up with a total of 524 horsepower and 691 Newton meters of torque, which is 9 Newton meters off of an Aventador.
But it's also nearly 40 horsepower more.
Yes.
And a whole lot more torque.
39 horsepower more and nearly 40 Newton meters of torque. 53 Newton meters of torque.
Impressive.
Very
impressive.
So hopefully...
Have you driven it yet?
I haven't. Well, I lie. I popped to the shop next door and back, but I've not driven it to experience the power. But so far, in normal driving, it feels no different, which is obviously a very good thing.
That's how it should be. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of it now driving it, as I'm sure you are. on the onwards journey?
Very much so, although the weather isn't on side today, so I don't really think we're going to find out the differences today, but I think we'll wait for a drier day to get it out and see exactly what it can do now.
Well, pass on my thanks to the team at GAD and to you guys for bringing it up. That's really exciting.
Of course. Well, hopefully you're having a good trip out there as well. And yeah, I guess we'll be looking forward to seeing your adventures coming up shortly.
See you later, Tom. Thank you.
See you soon, Tim.
Cheers!
Bye.
We are back out on the road in the sea. We've been driving for about 30 minutes on our way over to Dub, and that's given us plenty of time to obviously get a understanding and a feel of what the C63 is like. So, Tom, happy? Smiles all round?
Very happy. I mean, I've spent about the last 15-20 minutes just giggling because all of a sudden, this is what this should be to me. This is a monster. And like we were saying, looking at the dyno graph, the power is all at the bottom end. The increase in torque is huge, and boy, can you feel it. We've had this out on some typical British B roads, some country lanes, and have been able to open it up a little bit, what with the weather now improving, as you can see, and it is absolutely ridiculous how much more power is on tap now. And actually you've got to be quite a bit more careful because it's far more willing to light up the rears than it previously was, as you would expect, with 100 Newton meters more at some points throughout the rev range. Definitely a worthwhile upgrade. I think this was much needed, and it now joins the trio of Black Series that have been modified, with the SLS having been to Rentec and the GT Black Series having been to Opus. This one's now been to GAD, so they're all a bit all over the place, but they now match in that they're all tuned, and I think at some point before long we're going to need to get them all back in the Shmuseum so we can get them out on a road trip together again.
Inside the sea, just a quick update, we are down at Dub. Obviously we have all this lovely carbon fibre trim all around the car here, obviously over the inside, and we did have gloss back trim just down here, but now we have this lovely glossy carbon fibre that pretty much matches exactly the same as the weave here. Obviously this still opens, so you can get to your 12-volt socket, and closes, you can still get to your sort of mode selector, and you can still see everything you need to do. So that is fitted, looking really, really nice. Time to get back on the road over to the Shmuseum and park this up and enjoy that V8 some more. Before we head home, look over there.
It's the Clio!
It's the little Clio.
Well, what remains of the Clio? It still lives here at Dub Custom.
It's got a friend though, it's got a wheelbarrow friend.
Yes. So anyway, and a digger.
Yeah, nice.
So anyway, I think we need to head back towards the Shmuseum, and we do need to figure out what we're going to do with that Clio, but yeah, we're going to head back towards the Shmuseum and we'll wrap up there. Well, I just can't really put that into words. I mean, 40 horsepower and 53 Newton meters of torque shouldn't seem like it makes a huge difference, but as we've said, at times there's up to 100 Newton meters more torque in the rev range, and I'm sure Brad can summarize, you can really feel it. It's transformed.
The one word I have for this now, and I think it makes a lot of sense, is animal. Anthony from GAD has transformed this thing into a pure animal.
Yes, I mean, and let's be fair, a C63 is quite an animal to begin with, but it's a different breed now. It's absolutely nuts. And all I can say is if you have a C63, anything with a 156, actually, if you've got anything, give Anthony a call, because he will absolutely transform it and you'll be leaving with a different car, just as we have today. I'm blown away. This thing is, I can't believe it.
Seeing what Anthony's done with this as well really makes me want to get the Abarth over there.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get some more power into that, and then we've
got
some future mods
I
coming,
did notice you two having a conversation just off camera, so I suspect we'll be going back to GAD at some point shortly. And in fact, speaking of going back to GAD, make sure you guys do have a look at Anthony's details down below. He's actually going to be doing a 24-hour Nürburgring challenge on Gran Turismo 7, where he will not be stopping other than for convenience breaks. He will be sat in the seat for 24 hours solid. It is all for charity, so do check the details down below and make sure you follow him for that one. But I think for now it's probably time to put this one back on the Benpack Auto Stacker and put it back to sleep for now. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed coming along on the transformation of the C63 and its power output. But for now, until next time.